Hello everybody. So today's video is entitled GameStop buys Bitcoin. They're going to buy Bitcoin. Is this a huge deal? And I lean to think this is a great deal. We are now seeing companies outside of Bitcoin realm actually buying Bitcoin as a strategy to save themselves, as a strategy to exit a very average business to a low quality business. I think this is a very interesting strategy. So today is a big deal. The market loves this. Of course, in pre-market, GameStop is up 12%. Many people knew this was coming, namely because of this picture and other pictures that have been circulating of Ryan Cohen, the CEO of GameStop, hanging out with Michael Saylor. This is the proper announcement here of a news release talking about the board anonymously approving an update to the investment policy to add Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. This is a pretty clear thing, and the market is excited because this company has nearly $5 billion in cash. Another a tweet I wanted to highlight, one thing I wanted to say, and this company is all about internet culture. This company is all about pop culture, and I know that legacy or serious investors, they're very quick to dismiss this pop culture, this digital culture, which is really replacing the legacy culture. We don't talk about Walgreens on this stock, right? We don't talk about these old world value investments, and so sometimes we need to deep dive into the popular culture of today, which is the internet culture. And of course, Max Kaiser in the world of Bitcoin, called the high priest of Bitcoin, is how he's often referred to. And he's very excited about this, right? We did it. GameStop to $1,000. This is the pleb version of MicroStrategy. This is for people who want to crash the system, crash the AMF, crash everything. Of course, this is all said in, like I said, modern internet popular culture. GME is, using another word in a good way, right? The Wall Street guys are insurrectionist, chaos agent. This is all about bringing perfect money to the masses, beautiful anarchy. That's internet culture speech. But I still see this as a huge deal, because what happens if the crowd, the 3 million people plus who got behind GameStop, what happens if they start buying a stock that's ATMing? And that ATMing, that new stock, that new issuance goes straight into Bitcoin. What if we have the masses? What if we have people who get, crazy about the system and they just go buy GameStop ATMs and goes buy Bitcoin? This is the Blackhole strategy, plain and simple, which was pioneered by MicroStrategy, which could be supercharged if we got a GameStop move. And, GameStop, the next stage, of course, from GameStop, in my view, is going to be doing the ATM. They're going to be needing to do this ATM, because let's look at the capital structure of GameStop. You can see 11 billion market cap, a little bit of debt, 463 million, cash is 4.62. So, okay, right now they could buy about 4.5. Maybe close to 5. We don't know what the next quarter is going to look, but they could buy between 4.5 and $5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Well, if they did that right away, that'd be a price to NAV of 2.45. To me, I think it's a little high. MicroStrategy is trading at 1.8. MicroStrategy has, in my view, a proven Bitcoin treasury strategy. No financial advice. GameStop doesn't have a proven Bitcoin treasury strategy just yet. So I still think that's a little high. But in the context of ATMing to Oblivion, and forgive my speech of internet popular culture, but in the context of ATMing like crazy, it's actually a good thing to have this price to NAV at 2.45, because what if, I don't know, what if they do a $10 billion ATM? What if they do a $21 billion ATM? This is a stock that's $11 billion market cap, right? They could do a $21 billion ATM. They could triple in size. And would they have the 3 million plus Redditors go crazy and go buy GameStop and be like, oh, stick it to the man? That's why I think this is very relevant to understand popular culture, to understand GameStop. This is the ATM strategy. This is the plain and simple black hole And keep in mind, GameStop is a stock with a lot of volume, a lot of retail buyers. They could just buy GameStop, and GameStop takes the money and put it into Bitcoin. So the Trojan horse would now be GameStop, in addition to MicroStrategy being the Trojan horse, in addition to many of the Bitcoin miners being Trojan horses, Semler Scientific, other companies, right? MetaPlanet for the Japanese stock market. This is, in my view, a very big deal in the sense that this is a company that can get retail shareholders to really buy in behind them. And, actually, if they issue an ATM, is there going to be demand from, say, less sophisticated buyers, right? Strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, caters to a more sophisticated buyer who buys the convert, who buys the preferred, caters to hedge funds, caters to money managers. This could be a retail investor version of that caters to the popular culture. And of course, they could also cater to Wall Street, and they could also do, your traditional debt, your traditional bonds, your traditional converts. They could do a preferred. They could do something just like MicroStrategy, or they could be doing something more, to reuse Max Kaiser's term, more pleb-oriented. They could do like a pleb-oriented type of ATM, and that would be, in my view, very, very, very powerful. So let me conclude this video by asking this question, which I see circulating on Twitter and which I've agreed on for a very long time. Should all struggling company, if you are a struggling company, should you adopt a Bitcoin treasury as a side to save yourself? And I think so. I think this is a really, really great idea, because struggling companies, historically, they've done what? They've doubled down on an average business venture. The way a lot of companies die is you have an average business venture and you want to, breathe a new life into the brand, and you're going to invest a lot of money back into your brand, who is now an average brand, may have been a really, really good company back in the day, but now it's an average brand because now your business is not fit to the modern world. A lot of times CEOs are compelled to just double down on the strategy, or do buybacks, which is essentially the same thing. I mean, from an ownership standpoint, a buyback is essentially the same thing as doubling down on the business. You're just burning money on a buyback to buy back the stock and just making more of the business into the old business, or you're doubling down on business venture. This is oftentimes the ways companies die, by doubling down on their mistake. Kind of a classic example is Sears. Eddie Lampert at Sears, he did something like a $5 billion buyback back in 2003 and 2004. And, you had people complaining about that kind of a hedge fund mentality. Anyways, that didn't work out very well for Sears, right? Buying back stock of a struggling business, not a very good idea. This, though, would be simply a way to exit fiat and exit the debasement that comes with fiat, because the truth is, you may have a perfectly fine business in a world where the money supply doesn't grow at 15%, right? The name of his channel is Beat the Denominator is the name of the channel. Why? Because money growth grows at 15%. If your business, if the revenues in your business grow at 15%, you're just treading water. You're barely making it. You're flat. A business that grows sales at 15% a year, in the Denominator view, is a business that is flat, that has flattish growth, because that's how much the money is being debased. And there's a lot of businesses that don't grow at 15%, right? A business like Nvidia doesn't need to buy Bitcoin. There's no way. They don't need it, right? But businesses that grow, very slowly, or sluggish, or flat, average businesses, to them, that's a way out. That's a way out. That's a way for those companies to become much closer to institutions with endowments and to actually be very long-lasting. And this is, I think, these Bitcoin treasury strategies add-ons to all of these companies who have a main business and become Bitcoin treasury strategy. It's a way for companies to become closer to institutions with endowments, to become closer to, say, family offices or that sort of stuff, except they can't do that with stocks, right? They can't own an S&P 500 index. Saylor talks about that, but they can do it with Bitcoin. They could potentially also do it with gold, but they can do it with Bitcoin, with gold, with real estate. And it seems that, it's easiest to do it with Bitcoin, and it's becoming something that is becoming more and more accepted. And so I think a lot of companies should do that. And if a lot of companies are going to follow, especially if the GameStop strategy works, a lot of companies are going to follow. This is looking more and more like the dot-com era, when a lot of companies were saying, oh, we're now becoming an online company, and people were getting excited. And of course, you had the valley of despair after that, but the internet was a thing, and the internet revolutionized the world. Well, in Bitcoin, we're well used to the bear markets. We're well used to Valley of Despairs. We'll probably have another Valley of Despair maybe 3 to 4 years from now. But, I ramble now. But anyways, you get the point. I love this. I love this move. This was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is just entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe. Follow me on Patreon. Follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.